Today was the day that Trump was sentenced by Judge Juan Merchan in the Manhattan District Attorney business record fraud case that is also known as the hush money case. So, where to even begin? As you all know, right after Judge Juan Merchan, oh wow, Trump's counsel requesting that the case be dismissed. Trump, of course, took it then to the Court of Appeals. And that was rejected as well. And as a direct result, and I'm blown away that he was successful in being able to get the Supreme Court of the United States to hear this. When the Supreme Court of the United States refused to hear my case, which is really truly a constitutional issue, like one we haven't seen since, let's say, Plessy versus Ferguson or Brown versus Board of Education. So I'm a little discouraged that they heard this case, despite the fact that it did not go this time in Trump's favor, and not by much. Not by much. It was a 5-4 decision that came down last night, which ultimately decided 5-4. Imagine 4 Supreme Court justices believed that this case should be kicked back to Merchan to hear the case as to whether or not the case should be dismissed in its entirety. 5-4. You may remember, and I talk about it in my book all the time. Anybody want to get it, just DM me. I'll tell you how to do it, the limited signed edition one. But what I talk about is an unconstitutional remand. An unconstitutional remand by Bill Barr, Department of Justice, based off of a counterfeit document. Yep, Amy Coney Barrett was the deciding voice. Bill Barr, the Department of Justice, weaponized, tried to have me sign a non-existent, a counterfeit document. When I refused to, they had me remanded back to prison, placed back again into solitary confinement, making it a total of 51 days. That this fucking Supreme Court refused to hear. But nope, they're going to hear Donald Trump's case on a New York state matter, not a federal one. But the question, of course, was whether or not a former president can be charged when he's no longer the president on a case that had absolutely nothing to do with him being president, which of course goes to the whole issue of the presidential immunity decision that they came down with. And by the way, folks, do me a big favor. Smash those likes. If you want to subscribe, that's wonderful. But smash the likes. Do whatever it is that you need to do so that, thank you there, Bubba, so that we can turn around, and thank you, Shai, so that we can get this thing to go viral. Because there's so much going on. There's so much that needs to be discussed. In fact, I'm going to be on tonight. This is Eastern Standard Time. Hey, love. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be on with Chris Hayes tonight, MSNBC, talking about this case. Now, the reason why this is so important, it is a first impression matter. By the way, very similar to, once again, I will hold up my book, Revenge. This one's the limited signed edition one. If you want to get it, again, DM me. I tell you how to do it. But one of the things that this is a case of first impression. We've never in the history of this country had somebody who was found guilty, 34 counts, going into the presidency as a felon. All right, never happened before. And I tell this and I bring this up because I think you'll be shocked when you hear my position on this. And I'm going to tell you to tune in tonight onto it, but I don't agree with this decision at all. In fact, it's not that he has money. No, Tim, it's not. The reason he managed to get away with this is because there was one way and one way only. Thank you, Eileen. One way and only one way for Trump. MSNBC, Carol. Only one way. No, by the way, Trump is now a convicted felon. You see, in the state of New York, I'm speaking with Karen Friedman Agnifilo, formerly chief of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, chief prosecutor there at the Manhattan DA's office. New York is a little bit different if you're found guilty, but the felon conviction doesn't come into fruition until such time as after sentencing. Today was sentencing. No, according to the way Karen was describing it, and there's so many different, it doesn't make a difference. Right now, sentencing took place. All right? Sentencing took place, and Trump is now the first and the only president felon heading into the White House. It's truly amazing. And just as Judge Juan Merchan said that he was going to do in that decision that came down, what was it, about 2 weeks ago, give or take? He gave Trump what was called an unconditional discharge. Now you say, what does that mean? Unconditional discharge. It's very, very, very important. It means that the jury, 12 members of the jury, after 9 hours, came back with a unanimous determination that Trump was guilty on all 34 counts of this business record fraud, aka also a first-timer. Thank you, user. First time that he's guilty of those 34 counts. And they did it in 9 hours. They did it in 9 hours. What this does is it justifies the verdict put forth by these jurors. And I'm going to be talking about this again with Chris Hayes tonight on MSNBC. But here's the problem. Unconditional discharge. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've never really practiced criminal law at all. But I've never even heard of an unconditional discharge. I've never heard of anybody going through trial, having a jury come back, make a determination beyond a reasonable doubt. Think about the standard that they, meaning the jury of 12, had to weigh here. Not just that it was a former president, not just that it is Donald Trump, but on top of that, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the 22 witnesses that testified, the 1,000 documents that were placed into evidence, that their determination was legitimate and justified. Now, I'm all for that. I get it. I totally get it. Let me tell you where I have the problem. And again, I talk about some of this in the book here. How Donald Trump weaponized the United States Department of Justice. This is the limited signed edition one. Again, if you want it, just DM me and I'll tell you exactly how to get it. Yes, I'm going to be on. If you go to MSNBC in the Chiron at the bottom, they have my pictures showing all the time with Chris Hayes, 8 o'clock tonight. The only one that I'm actually doing, and it's the first time that I'm speaking truly regarding this issue. I'll tell you where I'm a little bit upset is the fact that Trump once again mentions my name in his allocution, that I think I'm George Washington, but I am no George Washington. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what he's talking about at this point. Hey, LePain, I have no idea what he's talking about. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I wish to God, instead of calling me George Washington, he would just pick up the phone and call. That's what he really should do. He should pick up the phone and he should call. And I would like to know so many questions. I have probably 5 really important questions that I would like to ask him, but a shame. Instead, reverts right back to the name calling, yada, yada, yada. I'm not George Washington. I have no idea what the hell that even means. But let me tell you what Judge Juan Merchan said that he was going to do. And true to form, hey, Lisa Michelle, true to form, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. That this is such a unique circumstance, which it is. It is so unique that it is impossible to issue a sentence any different than the sentence that he intended to impose, which he talked about in his decision. And again, that is an unconditional discharge, meaning there is no jail time, no incarceration, there's no probation, there's nothing. You walk out of there, not in cuffs, not in anything. You just walk out. Yes, Trump will still be my president. I'm 100% in acknowledgement of that. Nobody should ever turn around and say that he's not. That's a MAGA talking point. When they turn around and they said, oh, Joe Biden's not my president. Okay, if he's not your president, then you're a fool. Because right now, Joe Biden is still the president. On the 20th of January, 2025, Donald Trump will become all of our presidents. And in all fairness, we should all be hopeful that he's going to be a president for all of America and not just MAGA. But we'll see. And I'm disappointed in terms of the unconditional discharge. And let me tell you why. Well, first of all, a part of my sentence dealt with exactly these topics. It dealt with some of these topics. And I got a 6-year sentence. And I think this whole thing now looks like a political charade. It looks like a political spectacle. And when I turn around and I said before that what upsets me the most is that there is no accountability. Zero. So when they turn around and say, no, you listen to these fucking idiot pundits. They turn around and say, no, this is justice now forever, that Donald Trump will be a felon when he goes to his grave. And I don't know why they have to talk about death on top of that. The guy's going to be our president. He does get a pass. He gets a pass, by the way, simply because he has done something that nobody else ever thought possible or could possibly do. With twice being impeached, 4 indictments going on, civil matter with the E. Jean Carroll and all that, he manages to somehow, this isn't sour grapes, Tivy. This is facts. And if you don't like facts, you should get the fuck out of my room, because that's what we do here. We talk facts. He managed to do something that no one thought was humanly possible. He put all that shit aside. Imagine that. He went ahead and he continued to push, and he became the Republican nominee. And he took out Joe Biden. He took him out. And I still think that they never should have pushed Joe Biden out, even though the age issue, it was a real issue, but it should have been Joe Biden's decision and nobody else's. Nevertheless, he manages to be successful, and he ends up winning the general election, beats Kamala Harris, takes every single swing state, despite the fact he congratulates himself on his Supreme Court judges, ruling on the Dobbs decision, which ultimately overturns the Roe versus Wade matter. And you say to yourself, wow, So yeah, he's entitled to more than what anybody else would have gotten. I mean, it's just, that's just facts. Whether you like them or you don't. Me personally, I don't like it, but it's a fact. He managed to do this. And you can't put a president in prison. But I'll tell you what Merchan could have done. All right, there's 10 days left. He could have turned around, imposed anything. He could have turned around and said, you know what? Within 72 hours, you need to go to a soup kitchen here in Manhattan or in Florida, and you need to serve lunch or dinner to homeless, to the impoverished. Just something. Community service, exactly. Or here in Manhattan on the West Side Highway, there's a stretch of the West